Well, good morning, Bakersfield. Surrounding communities, everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. We got plenty to talk about today. Sparky, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, you know
Don't
where
be
we got to
sorry.
start.
Nothing to be sorry about.
You guys covered, though. We were right.
Yeah, the Dolphins put a team together, and like I said, I thought it was going to be competitive, and it was until it wasn't. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about miscellaneous sports memorabilia stuff. There's some stories that came out. We'll talk a little bit about Clayton. I'll get my Dolphin rant out here shortly, but we'll also have Kyle Pittser from Dionysus joining us at 8:30 ahead of the first WWE Wrestlepalooza live on ESPN. And if you'd like to win some Kern County Fair tickets, we have one more pair of tickets to give to our loyal listeners. If you'd like to text in anytime between now and 9 a.m., text it in 842-2000, and we'll cover you. And then you'll have some money for some food.
Absolutely. I mean, come on, man. This is the most fun fair in the area. You're not going to want to miss out on this. Plus, you get your tickets for free right here. You and somebody else get into the fair for free. You don't have to wait in the line to buy them. You go just straight in and you get right into those lines for all your favorite fair food or fair rides or whatever you're there to do. Personally, I will probably be there next weekend. I got a packed weekend this weekend with Wrestlepalooza and plenty of other things to watch and talk about. But let's start with this football game we had last night. The Buffalo Bills pulling off the win, 31-21. However, I have to start. I know you got your rant, and I'll get to it, and you're probably going to disagree with me.
I'm sure.
I don't blame McDaniels for this whatsoever.
Nope.
In fact, this game actually almost saved his job, in my opinion.
For now.
For now, 100%. But my God, can you just not have that at the end of the game? I mean, I'm not talking about Tua throwing the pick, because this is now back-to-back weeks I've seen Miami in a crunch time mode, needing a score, and your offensive line just lets the guy right through as if they had some sort of grudge against Tua. And the guy gets in his face. Yeah, oh, that's true too. But that's the thing, is that I think that is now the biggest question mark to me is, can y'all get the offensive line addressed? Because granted, if they're backups, they're backups. And again, you know more than I about that. But realistically speaking, the next man up thing has to be a thing in the NFL. If you are a backup, it is not necessarily a situation where you can just sit around and just wait around for your laurels, maybe get a job somewhere. You have to be ready for these specific moments, because they need you to step in and be just as good as the guy that was right in front of you in these key moments. Sure, you can have mess ups, but you need those mess ups early in the game. When it comes down to crunch time, and now back-to-back games for Miami, they've been let down by the offensive line, which ultimately leads to Tua making a mistake and them throwing the game away. That is my biggest question mark now, but I want to hear from you. You're the Dolphin. So what are your thoughts?
I agree with one part. I agree. McDaniel is probably not the one that should be let go this morning. I think he's putting the team together, and he seems to have a game plan, even with the short week with the almighty Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, well.
And like I thought, they made a game out of it, and just like last week. But I think it's more than the offensive line. I think it's the defensive play calling. I think it's altogether, it's just stupid penalties and shooting themselves in the foot. Whether it was, Brooks getting a roughing the passer or whatever it's called, but throwing the Josh Allen after the whistle's blown. This is the second week in a row where we make a big D stop in major parts of the game and run into the kicker and give them the ball back. And that's the drive that they went out and, went up and was up by 7. We had them stop 3 times in a row right when you need them. And I do put this loss majorly on the defensive coordinator, Weaver, because all game playing that soft coverage, he's going to rip you up. He was 14 for 14 when you played that soft zone coverage. And why wouldn't you just go with what's working? And I think that's, I do give props to the defensive line stepping up, a couple corners that stepped in when they needed to, but they shoot themselves in the foot and got themselves a loss just because of it. Yes, Tua, that interception with 3 minutes left. Like I've been saying, you don't want Tua in the final 2 or 3 minutes and the game on his shoulders. Yes, that's what $50 million quarterbacks are supposed to be doing. But when you shoot yourself in the foot with stupid penalties, playing soft coverage when it's not working all game. But I think if I'm Stephen Ross, I'm firing Greer. I would start with the GM. I think McDaniel has shown enough that he's got the team behind him. And, if they would have went there and laid over and lost by 40, I would have been on the same train. Fire McDaniel. But he seems to have the players backing. I've heard the press conferences for the last 3 weeks, and they all seem to be with McDaniel. So I wouldn't, it'd be silly to fire a coach after that game or even the New England game. He is not the main reason. He's on the list of many reasons why they lost this game and the New England game. But I would start at the top. I think if McDaniel can put this team together and at least make some good football out of it, I would wait until the end of the season. Then again, if they come up next week and lose by 30 to a team that shouldn't be beating you by 30, then that's when you pull the plug. But personally, I think it's really Greer not putting the talent on the field. When you're overpaying for players like Tyreek Hill, Tua, you have to put a good team on the field. And, trading Jalen Ramsey, trading Jonnu. This is the third week in a row that we haven't had a real tight end one. And it was, when Jonnu had a career year last year, why would you pull the plug a week or two before? But hey, I'm not the GM of the Miami Dolphins, and I personally think he shouldn't be either.
Well, I mean, okay. We've seen, at least in the last couple of years, that just because you have a title of general manager does not mean you're the almighty or like at least the smartest guy in the room. I mean, look at what happened in the Giants situation. But I do believe I agree with you that you guys need to find a true tight end one, because if you look at the plays that went to the tight end yesterday, as little as they were actually big impact plays. They actually got first downs, big first downs, not just your typical 2nd and 6. We're talking about 3rd and 12. And the tight end was back for a penalty right through. So you're right. They need to find that and find somebody to fill that void. I know Darren Waller obviously was brought in to be that guy, and I still have heard nothing in terms of what's going on with his injury and what, how long he's supposed to be out, which is another major question when it comes to Greer, because you're the one who brought him in. I highly doubt McDaniel came to you and said, we need to go grab.
We need Darren Waller.
We need the guy who's been retired for a couple years and went and tried to be a rapper.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. A lot of blame should go to the defensive coordinator, because now this is the 3rd straight team to drop 30 on you. And if you're going 4 for 4, I got some questions, because you can't win in the NFL allowing 30 points a game. That's not going to happen. So
they seem to clean it up at halftime, because I thought for sure James Cook was going to get 200 yards and this game was over.
He was cutting it up.
But in the second half, the D stepped up, and I was proud of it. And I'm like I always say, win, lose, or tie, I'm with the Dolphins till I die. But
you saw Ollie Gordon's first touchdown, though.
Yes, and I love that kid. Many. I love that kid.
He looks great. He really does.
Stupid penalties, man.
I know. And again,
I was telling my dad, we had the house full of, Dolphin fans, and I was telling him, I got in. Luckily for ESPN Radio, I was able to listen to the first half because I didn't get home till around halftime. But I was telling my dad the whole game, it's going to be the turnover. Whoever gets the turnover is going to win this game. And sure enough, that's what it was. But the stupid penalties, man, they got to clean it up. And it almost feels like the first 3 weeks for Miami was preseason. They seemed to like they weren't ready, and if they were just cut and paste and putting this team together. But I think there's still plenty of time. I still think Miami can pull out, a above 500 team. Looking at the schedule, they've got some good games coming up, and Miami is one of those teams. They will play a tough team until the end and then choke in gimme games. So you never know with the Miami Dolphins. They're always an entertaining team to watch. But I will have to give out some props to at least some of these guys. Ollie Gordon, A-Chain is always on fire. Tyreek made a couple good plays, but Waddle, man, Waddle
Tua,
steps up when he needs to, and I just love that guy.
true. Tua made plays early in the game and actually looked decent. He had the one pick, but again, I don't even blame him for that. That's more on the offensive line not protecting him. He got right in his face. How did you feel about McDaniel after the game, though, with his answer to that question? I know he was stumbling over his words, as
Like
I've
always.
highlighted, but I feel like this time he was stumbling over them just because he didn't want to say something that was going to get him in trouble, because obviously he had his frustrations about it. But even he said that needs to go, kind of the responsibility of that needs to go on the quarterback to a point. And I do agree with him.
To that one play, yes.
Yes.
He
But
eyeballed the guy, and they've been playing that. They ran that play 6 times during that
Right.
game. So, I mean, obviously eyeballing a guy, the linebacker that was just, okay, this is a gimme.
yeah,
And with those clutch times of the game, man, you've got to be better.
Right.
And I won't put the whole loss on Tua. The turnover, definitely. But like you said, the offensive line, that whole right side is step up, guys, and these are professional athletes. So I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
oh, he's a backup. That's the reason. It's
Nah.
not the reason.
You
You're a
can't use
professional,
that.
and you've been there for at least a month, and you were actually good most of the game.
Yes.
But the stupid penalties, the rookie left guard that went up, and there was 2 positive plays that got called back because he was an ineligible receiver going up the field. It's just stupid things, and that goes on the coach.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So-
yeah. Well, the offensive line coach, but ultimately that does go on McDaniels as well, because mental mistakes always come down. Everything trickles down.
But overall, I'm
yeah.
not upset.
No.
I thought my team came out and they played better football than I was expecting. I've gotten like 13 texts since the click or the clock ran out. It happens, and I'm gonna back my Dolphins. I was happy what I saw. There was definitely some things to clean up, but it's week 3. 0-3. Okay, obviously there could have been some changes. We could have been 2-1 right now, but we're not. We're 0-3.
Now, I know there's a promo running right now on our ESPN radio station. Unfortunately, if you're online, if you're not online, you're not probably hearing it. But what are your thoughts on what Amber and Ian think? Because she's got a point to this, because I think everybody can kind of echo this. If your team is going to be bad, you want them to be bad. You want them to be Saints bad. You want them to be the worst team in the league so you can get those high draft picks. But do you kind of feel like just the middle ground team that Miami might be, the 7-10, 9-8 kind of a situation, 8-9, kind of shoots you in the foot more than it helps you? Because it seems to me like if you want, or if you need to turn this around, might need to just blow it up altogether.
I mean, it's professional football. I would never want a team to tank.
Right.
And if they don't pull the plug on Greer, I mean, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot anyways. But personally, we've got some young guys that I want to see on the field. Ollie Gordon, the left guard I brought up. I'm not even going to try to say his name, but I think overall it's putting this team together. And I don't want to look at the draft right now. Right now, I want to clean up the mistakes and see what they can do.
That's fair.
If it was halfway through the season and we're 0-8, then I would say, okay, it's time to blow it up.
Yeah.
Trade Tyreek, clear up some, salary cap. And just like we see in a lot of these coaches firing, an offensive minded guy, usually they replace him with the defensive mind, tough grit type coach. And we'll see. I think if they ended up blowing it up, the real question is where is Tua? Tua's came out recently and said he only wants to play for Coach McDaniel. So is that going to be something that he retires like he's talked about in the past? Maybe that will be a blessing.
To be honest,
think Tua has the opportunity. He's on the fence as well as McDaniel. He can come out, show what he's worth, and get a positive reaction out of these Dolphin fans. But it's 0-3. So I mean, give me another month and see where we sit. But it's just so iffy, and
to be
I just
fair,
don't
though,
know how to answer that draft question.
No, it's fair. I'm just more asking what your thoughts were on the promo. But to be fair, though, Tua is probably one primetime concussion away from being forcibly retired by the NFL. So at this point,
and that would almost be a blessing if you have to. But I would never want anybody to get hurt. Obviously,
yeah, no, obviously
but that's
not.
the highlight when you say Tua. Everyone say, "Oh, he's soft. He's soft."
He's not soft. He's just taking some really rough hits. And I mean, again, when you see yourself as a tough guy, which he does, and he's a very mentally tough guy, it's just he makes these mental mistakes sometimes, which end up leading to the downfall of the Dolphins, which,
Yep.
sometimes those are just those little things that can make a quarterback from a good starter to a great starter or even higher than that. So I think that's just where Tua kind of falls short. Because you're right. Really, when you look at the play where he threw the pick, outside of having the crash down from the defensive line, he really does stare down Waddle the entire time. And you've highlighted this many, many times on this show that he just looks at his number one receiver. And if he's not there, he panics. And then he's like, oh, Lord, where do I go now? And he runs and does all the dumb stuff that ends up getting him hurt. And to be honest with you, that's, again, one of those little things that you can't have your quarterback doing. He has to know how to look someone off. You have to know how to, make the defense think you're going one way and pull a Matthew Stafford and throw the absolute opposite.
And when he did it during the game, it blew it up. So,
right.
I mean, it's just some stuff that they got to clean up. And luckily, it's only 0-3. It could be a lot worse if you look down at the season. But like a football fan, bring on the Jets. And let's get through this damn week.
Absolutely. We got to take a break, though, pay some bills. We'll get to more stuff on the other side, including this interesting story that I saw yesterday of apparently ESPN finding a key witness to a 2006 murder. We'll let you know what's going on with that at some point during the show. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. I just watched his interview yesterday on YouTube with Chris Van Vliet. It is fantastic. God, that guy's such a great interviewer. If you're a wrestling fan, you do not follow Chris Van Vliet or any of his stuff on YouTube, you really should. You're doing yourself a disservice. This is the Early Bird Special, however, on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. We are also streaming live video every single day from 7 to 9 on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find us at the Early Bird Special. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as well. Just go ahead and search up the Early Bird Special. Look for the little logo right down there in the corner of our screen. It'll be right there on every single one of them. You can follow, like, subscribe, all that type of good stuff. Where should we go from here, my friend? Do you want to run down some of these games in the NFL, or should we shift over to some college ball?
We could wrap up some NFL stuff. I know some positive news. Packers tight end Tucker Kraft is not doubtful to play. Actually, he got some good positive news out of some x-rays, and he is now expected to play. But one of the two questions I had for you is, one, the NFL is came out and said that they're going to watch the tush push much closer now that the Chiefs and obviously Chris Jones saying that they were lining up offsides and legal pushing and blah, 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 blah. And the NFL came out and said, yes, after further review, there was a couple calls that they'd missed. I mean, they say this week they're going to keep an eye on that tush push call, see if, if all things participating in, the lining and how they're pushing certain players, and going to, keep an eye on making these calls that they've missed last week. Do you really think it's going to change much? Or,
well, in certain situations it will, because true, there were a handful of false starts that I saw that should have been called, and those obviously back you up 5, which means you go from a tush push to an actual pass play. So yeah, I think it would matter in that case. Now, the illegal pushing and all of that type of stuff, the scrums within the pile, you can't complain about those, dude. Those happen all the time, and they can't see everything. You know what I mean? Like, they're human just like the rest of us. I know you're right up in it, and we get that, but we're not playing, pick up basketball on the court, dude. We're not calling each other fouls. Just let it go. Whatever happens, happens. I do agree with him. The false starts need to be called because there were way too many of them by the guard specifically. And I watched it every single time and said, ooh, yeah, that was way before the center snapped the ball. And they didn't call it. And those do matter. But that's kind of the thing, is that the ticky-tack part for me is the illegal pushing, the illegal blocking. We haven't really seen any illegal blocking as of yet. No one's really getting injured from any of this. It's just low blocks. They're not chop blocking you, which is the illegal part, I'm sure, of what he's talking about, is that he's going for my knees. It's like, no, he's really just getting under your pad level and driving you. But I do agree with him. The false start counts. Those need to be called, because I know the NFL doesn't like calling those because they're so just, unless it's blatant, they won't. But in these cases, 4th and 2, like, you see the guy go a little bit early, call that. You have to call
as
that.
they probably should. It's part of the play. But
right.
The other thing is going back to Brian Flores' court case against the NFL. I know the attorneys refiled yesterday saying that the NFL is stalling after they lost the first round. Now Brian Flores is, just pretty much coming out and pushing harder, saying that the NFL knows that they're wrong, and now they're just stalling. They're trying to find a different way. And he said it's not about the money, because they've offered him several different just payouts to go away. But do you think this is going to go much longer, or is it just going to be the NFL, flashing the shield and seeing, okay, well, you can keep trying, but there's nothing.
The weirdest. Now, again, not
has
a
been
lawyer,
years.
but and the guy's working for you.
Exactly.
Still. That's the weird part to me. Somebody is suing the company and you're still working there. Like that's the wildest thing to me. But I get it. I know why he's doing it, and he's all the right in the world to do it. And he's probably right. His officials are probably right. They're probably stalling, because from what I understand, again, not a lawyer, but obviously have had my run-ins with the law at some points. Most of the time, that's how it goes with big companies or cities, or if you're suing a state or anything like that, they stall. They stall you out. They try to see if you're going to actually go through with it. It's the long game. You're not going to just turn around and say, okay, fine, here's your money.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to take your time with it and see if the person actually wants it or not. So, yeah, I would not
Because
be
if they
surprised.
do, they'll have to discipline several teams for
Exactly.
not interviewing him, and a couple teams that
Breaking the
actually
Rooney
did interview
Rule.
him.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's almost the opposite, because now, Coach Gruden has won his case,
Mhm.
and it seems to be the rumor around the league that they're not going to allow him to come back to coach, as he's came out several times in his podcast that says he wants to coach.
Mhm.
He said whether it's college or the NFL, he's made comments, but it just I just don't see that happening.
No, because again, when you sue a company, it's really hard for them to turn around and say, "Yeah, sure, you can come back and work
Yeah,
for
come
us."
back. You'll be
Like,
back
that's
on the
why I'm feeling with
payroll.
this Brian Flores thing. It's like, do you really want this to go through? Because if you do and you win, who's going to stop the owners from blackballing you?
How do you even come back to work on Monday?
Exactly. Like, who's going to say Minnesota doesn't say, "Hey, we're going to move on. We think we can find a better defensive coordinator." And then he's like, "What?" And you're out of a job now.
You gonna sue?
Congratulations, you won the long game.
You gonna sue them too?
And that's why I'm not saying he should back off at all. I
course.
think you should go through with this 100%. If you were wronged, always go through with it. But I'm just saying you need to tread lightly in this area, because I don't know a lot of people that, one, can sue their company and still work there, and two, win that lawsuit and expect to keep their job. That is just unprecedented territory. But at the same time, I guess if he does get fired after this and winning, all the NFL will be doing is proving everybody right. And then we have an even bigger issue, because now everybody will be coming out and saying, oh, wow, the NFL is racist. Because that's essentially what everybody would see from that. We had to institute a whole rule called the Rooney Rule for you guys to actually interview black coaches. And the one time a black coach stands up for himself in law, and then potentially, again, this is all hearsay if it actually happens, but if they do somehow blackball him after this, after he wins, what is that going to show? Everybody on the internet's going to ream you. But it's the NFL too. It's the Shield, like you said. It's the biggest television show in America. Are Americans really going to walk away from football? Probably not. So this is the weirdest lawsuit I've ever seen, to be completely honest with you. I'd love to hear everybody else's take on this as well. 661-842-2000. Feel free to text in. You could also text in if you're listening on YouTube. Feel free to chime in underneath. We will see those as well, and I'll pass those along to Sparky. We'll read them at some point during the show. But what do you guys feel is going to happen out of this Brian Flores situation? Because this is a really weird lawsuit, in my opinion. And I don't know how this is going to end. I really don't. I hope Brian Flores doesn't end up getting, blackballed for this, but we've seen the NFL do that to people for less.
Yes, exactly. But we'll take our break, and we'll get into some college football right after the break. We are the Early Bird Special.
can't say I missed this hearing this song though. I can't. Like, don't get me wrong, great song.
I just miss the strut.
Yeah, the strut.
That's all.
I
Not
still
the
feel like
person.
that's where Connor got it. I don't care what Connor says. That's where
Yes.
Connor got it. Connor watched Vince strut down to that ring.
I never
and
thought
said, I
about
want
that.
to do that.
Which I know he just withdrawed his name.
Yes, from the Irish presidency. God. Oh, could you imagine? Conor McGregor, president of Ireland. Now I am Irish, so there's a little bit of pride that would go into that, but at the same time, no, I don't.
Fear.
I don't need to see what that man would do with any kind of presidency, regardless of like what country it is. Let's talk a little college ball. We've been talking a lot of NFL this week, but there's been a little bit of news out there in the college world. There's a great slate of games this week that you'll be able to check out right here on ESPN Bakersfield as well. But after the SEC has decided that they will move to a 9-game conference schedule, the ACC has now taken it upon themselves to kind of shift their schedule as well. And they're now focusing to potentially have a 10-game schedule against Power 4 competition to keep them in the running against these big conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten and all these others. And to be honest with you, I love the thought of this. I love everybody trying to boost up into that Power 4, Power 10 area. Because, I mean, when you look at some of the competition issues when it comes to, or at least the gripes that fans have when it comes to the stats and I'm sorry, the rankings rather in the top 25, a lot of it comes from, well, they don't have the right competition. They don't play anybody. The ACC has a very formidable group of schools: Florida State, UNC, SMU, Clemson. I mean, Cal's doing really well this year. Georgia Tech looks fantastic. All of these guys are very, very competitive, and they could take on teams in the SEC. I can tell you right now, most of these teams could probably beat up on Bama. I probably believe that this year. And with this move to a new schedule, I love the fact that everybody's trying to figure this out in themselves. I know the Big 10 and the Big 12 talked about it too, potentially moving to a more competitive schedule and getting their teams out there more around the country, taking on the SEC. And I do think that this is also headed towards potentially having 4 major conferences rather than the various little ones. I think we're going to start getting the SEC is literally going to be the whole bottom quarter of America. Maybe the Big 10 is the other side of it. The Big 12 is the north side and all that type of stuff. Like we'll figure it out as we go. But I do think this is the first step in going towards that, because once all of these conferences really start to intermingle a little bit more, to build rivalries, as it were, as we already are. I mean, Clemson is having a yearly game against Notre Dame, as well as South Carolina starting in 2027. So all of this is going to essentially be headed to a tip of big conferences, which is going to get rid of everybody's gripes of, well, your guy doesn't play in a big enough conference. Talk about Fresno State. Oh, you guys are in the Pac-12 or wherever. I can't even remember if they're in the Pac-12 right now, to be honest with you. But Mountain West, anywhere in that area. Some of these smaller conferences that don't get the love, they will essentially be absorbed by these bigger conferences, and then we get big-time football. And I know there's a lot of people out there that aren't really happy about that and don't want that. But I want you to look at the bigger picture here. Granted, yes, that means teams like Fresno State and all these smaller colleges will have to go up against bigger colleges. But that just means more exposure. That means more money, NIL. There's going to be these kids that look around and say, you know what? I may not be a starter on that school, but I can go there and still compete against that school and show everybody how good I am. It's just going to open the door for more of these smaller colleges to be seen by athletes as well as other fans, to be brought in. And then you get the better stories of these underdog teams coming up and beating the big schools again and usurping them in these big conferences and sneaking into the playoff. Personally, I think this is going to be a very interesting move for the ACC. I like the move. 10 conference or Power 4 conference games for the ACC is only going to help their schools get into that top 25 market and stay there. I mean, we've seen it with Florida State. Nobody thought Florida State was going to be that great after the year we had last year, and they came out swinging. And if the ACC can continue that, I mean, Bill Belichick now there with UNC, I think you're going to see a lot of competitive football games here going forward in college ball. I really do. What are your thoughts, my friend?
I mean, they need to change something, but I think it's still I think it's just something they're working on, and it's just like the whole transfer portal. They're going to keep changing those up. I just there's just a lot to change and a lot to look into. I know I was looking at the schedule this weekend right here on ESPN. Bakersfield will start with Auburn and Oklahoma at 12:30. Illinois and Indiana at 4:30, followed up with Michigan State and USC with kickoff at 8 o'clock. And then on our sister station, if you can't get out to BC Memorial Stadium,
which you should, it's free.
It's free.
You even tailgate. There's tailgating. Go tailgate. Go have a good Saturday.
Go say what's up to our boy Chad Hathaway at 1913.
Not to be that guy, but you know, it's cheaper
than the fair. Kickoff.
It's cheaper than the fair too.
Yeah, it's an early kickoff. I mean, I think kickoff's at 4 o'clock. You still can get to the fair afterwards and
you really can
go see Sugar Ray or the Monster Trucks.
That's right, because Sparky will be there. I forgot about that.
You might catch some Big FM shirts, and I'm gonna mix in some EBS shirts.
You gonna go up there and sing with them too? What's the song they do? Oh my gosh, I just played one the other day. Forgot what the song was.
Fly.
There you go, Fly. Yeah, you got to go up there and sing Fly.
Not gonna happen. But I will be able to upgrade some people's seats and let them sit in the VIP section. So just come out. If you're not for Sugar Ray, you can go see the Monster Trucks right down the walkway. But we'll have BC football running on Kern Radio, our sister station. If you can't get out there, but yeah, jam-packed Saturday filled with football.
Are the Monster Trucks new? Did they do
I
that
was
last
asking
year?
JR the same thing because when my buddy called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to Monster Trucks," and I said, "Where?" You know what I mean? Usually it's like the Mechanics Bank or whatever it's called now.
I don't remember them ever being at the fair, which is awesome. Not saying that's something that I can say that I don't think any other fair has. I don't remember anybody having Monster Trucks at their fair.
Drown out Sugar Ray?
That's probably true. Yeah. Let's see how loud they are.
But I know it's going to be a jam-packed night. And if you'd like to win some tickets to the Kern County Fair, text in 842-2000. But do you want to get into this this ESPN story?
Yeah, we should talk about
It's wild,
this.
man.
I was gonna save this for Wednesday, but I was like, no, it's gonna be too long. The trials have started by then. We have to talk about this because
so maybe you can break it down because this is confusing.
Okay. So I could do what I can, but we have to go back in the way back machine here because this all took place in 2006, almost 20 years ago. But if you were paying attention to football back in 2006, you remember that there was an incident between two Miami U football players that led to one of them being murdered and the other one being blamed for it. One of the key witnesses to this murder was thought to be dead. They searched for him. They couldn't find him. And everybody I don't know if they just came to the conclusion that he died the same day and he was another body. I don't know exactly how that part worked. But somehow, some way, reporters from ESPN tracked down this witness who was living in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is just something that popped up for me last night. I'm trying to read and absorb it myself. It's a really weird thing because this court case had been delayed this entire time. They hadn't started the court case yet. It was actually scheduled to start next week. And ESPN somehow tracked down this guy who is obviously not dead in Louisville, Kentucky. He is being brought back, obviously, to be the witness, I believe. But all of this is coming from this murder that happened back in 2006. I wish I had more details on the murder. I really do. I don't remember it fully, and I'm going to have to dive into it this weekend to really remember the full brunt of it. But yeah, somehow ESPN, or at least reporters of ESPN, were able to track down this guy who was believed to be dead, and he's very, very much alive. And this might end up being the big, big piece that ends up sending Rashawn Jones to prison for the murder of his former teammate, Brian Pata. And I'm not sure exactly how this is going to go. Now knowing this part of it, I think everybody's going to be glued to their television just to find out how you ended up in Louisville. Who told you to go to Louisville? because that's going to be everybody's main question is we thought you were dead. You either faked your death and ran to Louisville or someone did it for you and told you get lost. So this could also be a big misunderstanding as well in terms of maybe the teammate didn't do it and this is a bigger, like more deep-seated thing. But again, until we know this
The
information, we're not going to speak
original,
on it.
they had said that he had saw the shooter and he had jogged
Yes,
away and all this. And then yesterday, when the story came out, they were saying, that they had found him and blah, blah, blah. But he had said that I barely remember what happened
well,
that
of
night. And I was
course.
like, yeah,
It's
it's been
been
a while.
19, 20 years, dude. He's not going to
And I
remember
thought you
that.
were dead. Like, wow.
But that's the thing. Everybody thought this guy was dead. I want to know how. Did we see a body? Do we know, like, or did you just kind of assume he went missing? Because that's two completely different things. Someone going missing and someone being dead, completely different, in my opinion. Because if someone goes missing, there's always the possibility of you still being alive. Much like in movies, unless I see the body, I don't believe you're gone.
Exactly.
Heck no. So I don't know. Again, I will read up on this a little bit more. We'll get you more information on it on Monday when more of it comes to a head. But this is a very, very interesting case from, again, back 20 years ago. The court case has been delayed this long. And now that they found this guy, I assume they're pulling him back in to be the testimony, regardless of what he remembers or not. But if he can at all place Rashad Jones at the scene,
Might have a better case.
yeah, you might have a better case here.
Well, we'll
So
take our break. I've got some fantasy questions that we can line up and wrap up the hour, and then in the second hour, we got to get into some baseball news, some miscellaneous news. Also, got I pulled this list of the National Toy Hall of Fame. Yes, the National Toy Hall of Fame. It's a real thing, but we'll get into that and much more. Plus, we'll have Kyle Pittser from Dionysus ahead of the first ever Wrestlepalooza for WWE.
just now wrapping my head around this. If the Transformers are not on that list, I'm going to be very, very disappointed.
Some of them don't even, I don't list as a toy, but
really,
I'll bounce them off you and we'll
interesting.
see. But we are the early bird special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the early bird special right here on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. ESPN Bakersfield, as well as streaming live video-wise online on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just find us at the early bird special. We do got to talk a little baseball though, because we got some news yesterday. I talked about it at nauseum, to be honest with you, on the Greg Kerr show and on the Ralph Bailey show. But we got to talk about it here. Clayton Kershaw has announced this is it. Surprise, surprise to no one, to be completely honest with you. We all knew this was it. I mean, when you got the legacy pack at the All-Star game, we kind of assumed this was it. Plus, I think Greg Kerr brought up a very, very good point. His family has been with him at every single one. Every single game that he's played in, his family is there, home or away. That shows me he looked at wifey and said, one last run, babe. Every city that you want to see, let's do it now. Because when we're retired, we're retired. And I'm not doing this anymore. So, unfortunately, Clayton Kershaw will be done at the end of this year. I think this was done for multiple reasons. One, it lights a fire in the Dodgers. This now, again, we all knew, quote unquote, that he was going to retire. But at the end of the day, him announcing his retirement is that one final log on the fire that says, let's get this done. He wants one more ring before he retires. He deserves one more. And the Dodgers are going to do everything possible to get it done for him. And what better way to do it than the last 10 games of the season, right before postseason, where he is notorious for playing poorly. Unfortunately, that's the only hang up against him. I don't say that as a slight, but I say that more as just this can be that one postseason that every Dodger fan hangs their hat on. Is if Clayton can come in this postseason, have a good postseason showing, I believe that you will see every Dodger fan wipe away every other season. Now, don't get me wrong. People like me and pundits and people that are smarter than me are going to highlight every single time Clayton Kershaw's name comes up that he didn't play well in the postseason. And that's why he will never be better, quote unquote, than Sandy Koufax or Fernando or any of these other guys. Personally, I find that to be a little bit of egregious, but it is what it is. I say baseball is going to be weird without Clayton Kershaw.
Exactly. That was my only point.
Dodger baseball is going to be weird without Clayton Kershaw.
I know some big Dodger fans that are trying to get off work early tonight so they can get down, because I know he's starting tonight against I believe it's the Giants.
Yeah, but see, this is why I feel like he should have announced it in the beginning of the season, because although, yes, he kind of got a pseudo retirement tour. Could you imagine, though, if the entire year he had said it in like every city?
Be his farewell tour?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of them already did. Don't get me wrong, but baseball without Clayton Kershaw is going to be weird. I think everybody's going to remember that curveball forever. And this is the question that got posed to me by, again, the host of our sister station, Ralph Bailey. Is he the best left-handed pitcher of our generation? Putting him up, obviously, against Randy and CC Sabathia and a lot of these other guys. It's a strong argument. It genuinely is. Personally, I still put guys like Randy above him just because of the diabolical nature of his fastball. But to be fair,
he's definitely up there with him.
Yeah, and his Clayton's curveball is just as formidable as Randy's fastball was. Maybe in a different way, but it is. So it's a really interesting argument. And where would you put him? Because I mean, you really think of those three alone, CC, Randy, and Clayton would be probably the top three.
I'd probably put him at 2.
You put him at 2 over CC?
Yeah.
Because CC had the years with Cleveland where he was untouchable. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of hung up on.
But like you mentioned, it's really the playoff thing. And if he can go out and, that would be the best way to go out, obviously, to perform.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it looks like it might be his final home night tonight. They mentioned yesterday when they announced it that they haven't really defined what his role will be. And I mean, he's definitely first ballot. He's in the conversation. I would definitely put Randy over him, but it would be a close one with him and CC.
Oh yeah. I mean, again, CC's playoff performances, I think, edge him out a little bit, but Clayton's regular season statistics are untouched. I mean, we're talking about somebody who has a lower ERA than any other pitcher since the 70s. That or left-handed pitcher, I apologize, but still, that is incredible.
A 2.54 ERA, 222 wins, over 3,000 strikeouts.
And again, we all knew it was coming. Nobody is really saying, "Oh God, no one saw this one coming."
That's a long career, dude.
That is a long career. It is one, and I mean, I posed this question when he broke the record, the strikeout number this year. Where or like whose career would you rather have? Personally, Clayton is on the top of my list outside of CC Sabathia. Even though I said Randy Johnson's the best one, don't get me wrong. Love Randy, and everybody remembers the pigeon. R.I.P. But when you really look at Clayton Kershaw, 20 plus years with arguably baseball's biggest franchise outside of the Yankees, it's hard to say that you wouldn't that you would pass up on that career. It really, really is. Or at least for me. I don't know. That's just me. But we got to take a break, pay some bills. We got plenty more to talk about. Wrestlepalooza on Saturday. We'll talk a little bit about that with our guy Kyle Pittser from Dionysus at 8:30. Don't miss that. They have some beer specials that you are going to want to check out. And all of you pumpkin spice fans out there, he's got something for you too. We got to take a break real quick. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield, as well as streaming video online on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Go find us all over the place, even on Instagram and TikTok as well at the Early Bird Special. There'll be some reels and stuff like that from past episodes and interviews that we've done. We'll be talking to our guy Kyle Pittser here in about 30 minutes. Talk about Wrestlepalooza this Saturday, plus what they got going down there at Dionysus over the weekend. And we just got paid, and I'm going. I actually have money to go. I'm going. I don't care.
Better pay your fantasy fees.
I know. Well, that's one of them. That's one of them. I'm getting you 100 this weekend. I already know it. I've factored it out, Spark. We're doing it.
I did mention, or I didn't mention, this is for our boy Chris Flail, but the Indiana Fever pulling out a nice win last night to move over to the second round of the win over the Dream without Caitlin. And I know the ratings are really tough right now without the whole Caitlin with the injury, and there's some drama going on in the WNBA. But a win or lose, or a win and get out Liberty Mercury game tonight at 6:00. Winner will take on the Lynx, but now the Fever will go up against the Aces in the second round.
I really need to start jumping back in because football takes up so much of my time that it's hard to really pay attention to all of the sports. And from what I keep seeing, the WNBA playoffs have been incredibly, incredibly competitive. I mean, the 2 games last night were final shot games, 1-point wins. And I mean, seeing the Fever win without Caitlin, that's awesome because that just shows that when Caitlin comes back, we're going to have a formidable basketball team here. We're going to have a pretty solid team going forward. So I'm excited. That's pretty cool to see. I'm a loose Indiana Fever fan. Don't get me wrong. It's because of Caitlin. But I haven't necessarily chosen allegiances to any team yet. I was rooting for the Valkyrie this year, though. I was really kind of hoping they would pull it off and knock out the Lynx, but it is what it is. That's kind of basketball and how it goes. Do we have any text messages? I know we got to get to those before Kyle gets in.
We do, and one of them was, did you guys see the story of the Division III football player that is a 56-year-old freshman? It's first I heard of it.
56-year-old freshman. Okay, I gotta look this up now.
He said it's a defensive lineman, and he plays Division III football, and he's a 56-year-old freshman. But while you're looking up that,
I'm sorry, this is way too interesting. I gotta find this.
It is insane. But before we get away from the law stuff, I know the Rampage's son was arrested yesterday after that story we talked about, how he jumped into a fight, and some people thought it was just a promo, a setup thing, but it was not. He actually was arrested yesterday for a violent assault on wrestler Psycho Stu during a KnockX Pro Wrestling event.
So, again, the video of this is pretty damning, but you have to see the video before the in-ring confrontation to really know what happened and how all of this transpired. Again, not absolving the kid from any kind of, blame for this, because what he did was dumb. And regardless of if you're trained or not, you should know better. That entire thing was obviously, it was supposed to be a shoot. It was supposed to be a work. It was supposed to be something to kind of bring the kid in and get them some celebrity exposure in a way. Went horribly wrong. They apologized to the kid apparently before the match even started. Somebody who that Rampage's son believed was within the organization told him, "You'll get your lick back in the ring." And that's when all of this kind of transpired and went that way. But when you tell somebody that's a UFC fighter, you can get yours in the ring, they're not thinking as a wrestler or a professional wrestler. They're thinking as a fighter. But again, that's no excuse. You should definitely know better and know when to pull your punches. The only thing that I'm seeing on a 56-year-old freshman, though, and I'm going to have to find out, there's a 58-year-old player right now who I believe is the same guy, but this was a story from about 2 years ago. And he's right, though. It's a D3.
He would send me the story.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it to be 2 50-year-old freshmen.
No, I would not. Not especially, I wouldn't expect America to kind of shy away from an interesting story like that. Because again, 56-year-old and you're playing any kind of college football or sport in general, good for you. Good for you. And I honestly want to know if you played back in the day too, because clearly you have some sort of competitive drive that you need to fill. Because I don't think that I could even do that as a 32-year-old.
Right.
I'm good. My knees are already starting to feel like they can't keep up no more. Well, sorry.
Give it a couple more years. We got some fantasy questions. The first one says, do I go with Drake London or Keenan Allen?
Drake London all day, but again, that's a biases thing for me. What is your thoughts?
Who's Atlanta playing again?
We got Carolina.
Oh, yeah, you would probably go with Drake. Keenan is getting his, but I mean, you have Drake London for a reason.
Drake London is the number one receiver in Atlanta, period. And Keenan Allen gets the ball shared. So I would always go with Drake London. Although I have to say this, I have to apologize to our listener yesterday who asked us about the Dalton Kincaid and he should start him. Clearly, I was wrong. You would have gotten at least 18 points last night.
Yeah, he's getting looks. The next one said, sorry, Sparky, but at least Miami looks like a team. Yeah.
I mean, he's got a point there. You got, like you said, the team is at least rallied around McDaniels for now. You guys want to win.
The next one says, do I start Kyler or Geno?
Oh, my Lord. First off, I'm sorry for your loss.
If that's what your quarterbacks are,
I guess Kyler, because Kyler, I believe the Cardinals probably have a little bit of a better shot to win this week. And Kyler has, although Geno's going to be coming out very angry and wanting to prove everybody wrong that he's still got it, even though I don't think he's lost it at all. He just had a really bad game. But yeah, no, I'd go with Kyler. I think Kyler just has a higher upside. Plus, the running part of it really matters. And Kyler runs. Geno more just runs to make plays in the backfield. So
I mean, Kyler's got a higher upside, so yeah. I would definitely go with Kyler. The last fantasy question was, do I start with James Conner or Genty? He said he was getting a little nervous after Chip Kelly said he's going to cut back on Genty's touches.
Yeah, that was actually addressed during the press conference on Monday and just the use of Ashton in general. And Pete seemed pretty positive that he will be getting his touches throughout the season, but it may now be more of like we're going to get him warmed up kind of a thing. And to be honest with you, when they've gotten the ball to him, he's had his moments of having or making plays for them. So I wouldn't necessarily shy away from starting Ashton just yet. Maybe move him down to your flex spot and just flip him in and out when it comes to matchups. But James Conner, again, I said it yesterday, he's just a consistent touchdown getter. And Arizona relies on him in those short yardage situations where he ends up breaking big plays. So I usually can trust James Conner to be a solid fantasy running back. So it might be safer to go that route.
He's definitely used to, the double digits every week in fantasy. Yes. Even if he doesn't have, if the Cardinals don't win, he usually gets his. And the last one is more of a question we could bounce off Kyle when he gets here. But it says, I think Cody loses his title this weekend. But does that brewing place that you guys have on still have Fruity Pebble beer slushies?
I'm very curious myself because I do want one of the Fruity Pebble slushies too. I do, especially if it's going to be warm this weekend. I cannot say if they do or do not, though. I know that they've moved on to the next flavor, which was announced this week, and we'll let Kyle talk about that when he gets in here. But
I know being there, they have three slushy machines.
Yes, and they're usually pretty quick on like changing it up because they want to keep it different and
keep it fresh.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they've moved on from that one already.
But it's so good.
Doesn't mean that he can't put some Fruity Pebbles on top of anything you want, though. I'm just saying. You can always ask.
I know they announced yesterday that Netflix starting 5 got season 2. The NBA series. Did you watch the first?
I did, actually.
It was actually pretty damn good. I liked it.
All of these docuseries on Netflix, especially the sports ones, have been fantastic in my opinion. The lineup this year, though, is interesting. I mean, we got Jaylen Brown,
Durant,
Harden. I know Tyrese Halliburton was in there,
and SGA.
SGA was the last one.
And it premieres October 15th. It's coming up.
Tyrese is really getting the push right now, which I love. He's a fantastic, he has a fantastic personality. And to be honest with you, he's one of the most underrated players in the league. He doesn't get the love he deserves. And I think this year with Indiana playing without him all season, you're really going to see what this team looks like without him.
But how are you going to have a guy in a starting 5 series when he's really not playing?
I think this is supposed to be taking
From last
place
year?
from last year.
So we know the ending?
Yeah, so we're gonna see what essentially he's feeling after the injury and stuff like that, I'm sure. The one that I'm kinda curious about is James Harden. This guy has always been just an enigma to me. There's something about him that I'm always interested about, but at the same time, I can't say I actually like the guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I would sit across from him, have a conversation with him. He seems like a really chill dude, and I'm probably completely off base in terms of like, just there's something about you as a player I don't like. But just I want to see how this guy kind of carries himself outside of the game and see how he just kind of interacts with people because there is a genuineness to him. But at the same time, I keep remembering those moments of him being out of shape and then randomly getting traded and losing all the weight in a week. Now, granted, now we have Ozempic, so it's not that far fetched, but we didn't at that point, unless he was in the trial period. I really don't think so. So there have been some questionable antics on James Harden's part to kind of get out of playing at certain spots, which have just made me feel really uneasy about the guy. But it does make me want to watch. It really does.
We did get a fantasy question while we were talking about that. So Devontae Adams or Rome? Devontae Adams, I would lean
I think we
on.
got the same question
Yeah,
yesterday.
a lot of people are lost with Rome. They're like, do we start him? The Bears, but if you're gonna have Rome, I mean, I like the guy. I start him in my leagues, but Devontae Adams,
It's
it's
Devontae.
kind of tough to not start Devontae.
No, Adams is still one of the best receivers in football, although he is now splitting catches with Puka Nacua in LA. Does not matter. He's going to get you your fantasy points. Personally, I would trust Adams over Rome, but I also love Rome. So if you have a way of slipping him into your flex spot, because that's my other thing. Like, I know you guys ask us certain players, but you got to let us know who your flex player is too, because you might be starting somebody you shouldn't be in that area. So, but personally, if it's between those two, as I said yesterday, Adams all day, especially with the matchups and stuff like that. It just makes more sense to me.
But we'll
So,
take our break and we'll wrap up this part before we get into Wrestlepalooza with Kyle from Dionysus right here on the ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. I'm telling you, this double champ Dom run is about to be legendary. And I know everybody thinks of Eddie, but at the end of it all, we're going to be talking Dom. We really, really are. I got a story I got to bounce off you, though, real quick before we get our guy Kyle Pittser in here to talk all things wrestling. So, for those of you who are boxing fans, you probably saw this yesterday, but Muhammad Ali's unsigned Vietnam draft card is set to be auctioned coming up. This is a true piece of history because, again, Muhammad Ali being one of the most outspoken voices of the anti-war movement and him not or refusing really to sign this Vietnam draft card was one of the first steps of that and really putting him in the limelight of being that guy that the government hated. And a lot of Americans started to feel that way too because they felt like he was abandoning the country of America. This I mean, I know you're a collector, my friend, and obviously this is not just a collectible, but it's a piece of history. One, how much do you think that something like this could potentially go for at auction? And two, how coveted do you think something like this could potentially be to run up that number? Because I mean, we're talking about something that literally nobody on the planet will ever own again. I genuinely believe that, unless you're going to send it into some sort of museum. Like, I think this is going to be one of those things that this thing gets bought up quick by some sort of like historical museum or somebody of relevance, and then
Or a big fan.
yeah, we do not see this thing ever again.
I know Mike Tyson is a big collector of Muhammad Ali
Yes.
memorabilia. I know like the one of one type things like this usually will go up to $30,000-$40,000. I know I've seen in the last couple of years his passport, which was a one of one and had a couple of signatures on it, and that went by 25, 30,000.
Mhm.
I would think probably in that ballpark, maybe a little bit more.
Mhm.
I know towards the end when he was doing a lot of media tours and signings that a lot of his memorabilia wasn't, it decreases the value of a lot of the small things like his boxing gloves signed.
Mm.
But things like that are one of one are usually, I would say 25 to 30 grand.
I see. I was thinking this is going to possibly reach the million. I mean, we're granted there's no signature on it. That's the whole point to this. But this could potentially be one of the more interesting sales because one, this is a draft card from back in 1967 that again has not been signed by Muhammad at all. So there's no real indication this is legit.
Exactly. And I think that's where it gets a little weird.
Right. So we could see probably the biggest sale of something that's not technically signed by an athlete. You know what I mean? Like,
And
because
in the world of, collectibles and these types of treasures,
mm,
that it could be higher than you would expect.
mm-hmm,
And with things with no signatures or ID or pictures, like I've seen Elvis's draft card, get go up to 50, 60,000.
mm,
But with the guy, especially with Muhammad Ali and the story behind it,
yeah,
would make it way more valuable. Obviously, there's only one,
yeah,
but in the world where they are, remade or reprinted and they can wear and tear it to make it look
look
like it's
like
an
it is.
original,
Yeah.
that's when it kind of gets fishy and people don't want to spin. I would think it'd be more of a museum type thing
Mm-hmm.
than, but I mean, there's some crazy things that go for wild prices that you would be like, what? Why would somebody pay for that? But
I'm
collectors
assuming
are crazy, dude.
yeah, and this had to have come from the family. So we know this is actually legit. But there's going to be people out there in the world who sit there and say, I don't know." But again, that's where I kind of draw the line with it. And I keep thinking it'd be ironic as heck if they got this thing laminated and then somehow had one of the family members sign the top of it. Like I cannot remember the nephew or something that's in boxing right now, but that would be really, really ironic. But
That would be the only way to get it if it's not from either the government or the family.
yeah,
That'd probably be the only way to verify.
and that's the thing. And I'm 95% positive this has to be coming from the family. So there's got to be some sort of verification that was actually his. But for this to go up for sale at auction and be bought by somebody and it be unsigned by Muhammad, It's just interesting to me that we could potentially see one of the biggest sales of something that doesn't have a signature on it. You know what I mean?
Especially in the boxing
Like,
world.
yeah, because normally when we hear about these, it's, a signed card, or like you said, like his gloves that he wore in a match and he signed them or something. Like, when it comes down to historical pieces like this, that's why I also think this could reach up in the millions, just because of the historical relevance of it and his impact on the anti-war movement at the time with Vietnam going on, and how America felt about Vietnam and all of that. And just it really, really is. That's why I believe you're right that this is going to be going to some sort of museum at the end of the day.
It's just tough
But
to make it, to make it know that it's real
right.
is where it kind of gets weird. I know one of my, you know, um, one of my pieces that I have in my collection, because I grew up as a big Tyson fan, was I have an autographed Mike Tyson Punch Out game.
Mhm.
But once again, it was more valuable to me than it actually is in the collectible world, because these guys, after they retire, they do so much signing at these events for side cash that it increases the value. So I'm like, okay, I mean, you can go on Amazon right now and probably pay 150 bucks and get a signed Mike Tyson glove. It's not as pricey as you would expect, but obviously the one of one types things like
Mhm.
that, there's such crazy things that people will buy because they're fanatics.
Mhm.
There's pieces that I've seen Michael Jackson's, a strand of his hair or a glove or just weird crap. But if you're a fanatic, man,
Yeah,
it's
you're willing to do
priceless
that.
almost.
And looking into the story a little bit more, it was given by descendants of Ollie's. What they're saying, the auction will be taking place October 10th through the 28th. It starts at the Rockefeller Center in New York and will continue until the 21st there. And they're claiming it's going to fetch somewhere between 3 to 5 mil,
Whew.
which is probably that. I think it's going to be even bigger than that. I genuinely think that's lowballing, just because of the historical relevance of this.
Yeah, and if it has family that's giving it away, it's coming from an estate sale or something like that,
Yes.
then it would definitely go up than what was usually expected. And
Yeah.
there's only one.
And that's my thing. But I know there's going to be people out there that are going to question the historical, the not relevance, but legitimacy of the actual thing, and if is it actually going to be his Vietnam card and all that type of stuff. This is just an interesting thing to go up on auction for me. There are certain pieces of history that I feel like probably shouldn't be put up on auction. They should just be given away. I know that's very Indiana Jones of me, but I mean, when you
It's like
put
the
a dollar sign on it, it just kind of
It's like
feels
the
weird.
fan that has a piece of Holyfield's ear and he was trying to sell it, and then he finally got it back to Holyfield, and they were like, "Well, you can't put it back
Yeah, it's
on.
like, what am I supposed to
I
do
already
with
got an
this?
artificial piece of it." But something I brought up, the National Toy Hall of Fame announced their
Yes.
finalists yesterday, and it comes down to Battleship, a game called Caton, I've never heard of, Connect Four, Cornhole, Furby,
Okay.
the Scooter, Nickelodeon Slime,
Okay.
Spirograph, the Star Wars lightsaber,
Of course.
Tickle Me Elmo,
Naturally.
and Trivial Pursuit, which you would think
Okay.
a lot of those should
Most
already
of
be
these
in there,
are games.
right? And
Games
what
are
kind of
not
toys is this?
toys.
Exactly my question was.
Games are not. I'm sorry, Hasbro, come for me. I don't care. Games are not toys. Games are board games. It's a completely different thing. Like, don't get me wrong. All for a slime and the Furby and all that. Scooter, you're kind of
Reaching
that's a reach, but I could see it.
the lightsaber,
But it's kind
obviously.
of. I'm starting to feel like this is more like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Is this really about rock and roll, or is this music? Are we talking about
Exactly.
toys? Or are we talking about just childhood memories?
And it's
Like,
2025. Why isn't the lightsaber already in?
I know, really.
And I'm not
What
even
took
a
so
Star
long?
Wars fan,
What took so long? Of course the lightsaber should be in there. What took the Furby so long?
right?
Although it did kind of
Tickle Me
torment
Elmo.
half of us. Tickle Me Elmo was iconic when I was a kid. I remember owning one. But again, I need to see the full list, because if that's the only list that's gone in there, which I highly doubt, I have some questions, because where's Transformers at? Where's any of that? Transformers were legendary when they came out. Lego better be in there. Bionicles better be in there. Like, I have a list of toys that really should be in there before a board game. Although, don't get me wrong, many, many days were spent playing Battleship and making my brother cry. because, when you stack the ships on top of each other, what are you supposed to do? My landmass can actually hold 2. I don't know what you're telling me.
Cheater.
And it doesn't matter.
But we'll take a break. We'll get into Wrestlepalooza with Kyle Pittser from Dionysus. Right after the break, we are the Early Bird Special.
They just put him in the game too. That dropped this week.
Really?
Yeah, they dropped the Attitude Era pack this week with him, Billy Gunn, D-Lo. Oh gosh, who else?
D-Lo Brown.
D-Lo's one of them.
Heard that name in a while.
Right. I can't remember who the other two are. I know one of them is a female. It's just, I think it's Lena, but I'm probably wrong. Anywho, we got to talk all things wrestling with our guy Kyle Pittser from Dionysus Brewing. Sir, how are you?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
Oh, can't complain. First, let's talk about the brewery. How are things going? Everybody's been eagerly awaiting. Oh, we did have a question for you actually earlier. Pebbles. Yes. Is that still on the menu or is it gone? No, it's gone.
That only lasted 1 week. But you were right. I do have Fruity Pebbles. I could sprinkle on top.
See, you could totally do it. But what's the flavor this time?
So this week we did pumpkin spice, which is, very cliche for the season, but we did it. So what we do is it's the pumpkin spice slushy in the glass. We rim it with this like pumpkin spice pie syrup that we make, and then dip that into cinnamon graham crackers. Whew. And then we do a little bit of whipped cream, cinnamon, sprinkle on top, and then that same syrup we drizzle on top of it. It's a whole thing.
It's a white girl's dream.
It really is.
It is a white girl's. That is fantastic.
So before we get away, because I did see the poll when you put it up.
Oh my god!
And
yeah, okay. I was super curious about this as well.
All four sounded bomb. Mm-hmm. And
the wings?
Yeah. Yes, how was the wings going to happen?
I would try that.
I would, but are we talking like buffalo flavor? Yeah. What were your thoughts?
Just straight buffalo hot sauce.
Oh wow.
That's all I was gonna do.
Really?
No, that entire post was engagement farming. I was like,
it works.
Right, what can make people go, what the heck is going on with these guys?
We talked about it on the air, and we were like, okay, the grape.
Yeah, that one actually.
Cotton candy grape would have been fantastic.
Good.
You should keep that in mind
for later.
Maple
bacon donut.
That was the one.
Could have been great.
People
but the one that we could not wrap our brain around was the hot wings.
Yeah. I'm like, am I just fat? And I'm like, I would eat anything.
Well, the only thing with the garnish on it too.
Well, the only thing I was thinking was
blue cheese in that.
Yeah,
maybe you throw something like that, or maybe some jalapenos on top or something, make it an actual spicy drink.
That's when the environmental health department comes in.
Exactly.
Hey guys, what the hell are you doing?
Really
It's like, I don't think there's supposed to be chunks in that.
Yeah.
But you have a very, very busy day tomorrow. Obviously, we've talked about Wrestlepalooza, but I totally forgot until you mentioned it. But we have an AEW pay-per-view tomorrow as well that you'll be open for.
Yeah, so that starts at 12 o'clock. It's a pay-per-view. It's all in Toronto. So we'll be showing that. And I'm pretty sure it bleeds into Wrestlepalooza a little bit. But we'll have both showing, and then we'll transition the sound from AEW to the WWE show once AEW ends. We got Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Hangman Page
at the end,
so that's gonna be a banger. But yeah, I mean, Wrestlepalooza is a stacked card. There's four
as of right now. I was looking at the card for tonight at SmackDown. I know that Cody's expected to be there, but the main match that they've talked about was the U.S. title match with Sammy and Carmelo. I know we talked about it a little bit on Tuesday, but we would expect probably like the WWE usually does, add that fifth match. Mm-hmm. Now, do you think this Sammy and Carmelo drags into Wrestlepalooza, or do you think it's going to be a tag match?
I could see it, but if you watched NXT on Tuesday, I think there's something brewing a little bit deeper than that. They've been waiting to call up Trick Williams, who is Carmelo Hayes' right-hand guy down there in NXT for quite some time now. And on Tuesday, we saw The Miz help the two of them win a tag team match against DIY. So I'm assuming that at some point, we're going to see Trick Williams come up and be the new part of Mellow Don't Miz. And actually, we get Trick Willie again.
Nice.
And probably edge out the Miz of this group, sending Carmelo into some sort of different area, because I think they're going to be breaking up those two here pretty quick.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised if it does end up being the U.S. title match. I'm kind of hoping it ends up being a tag match, though. I really want to see more tag matches incorporated.
I think
into these.
Isn't the the main event's not Lesnar.
No, that's actually going to be starting the thing. From what I understand, is John
I'll
and
probably
Lesnar.
wrap it up with Drew and Cody.
No, I think they're going to wrap it up with Seth and Becky against
okay.
AJ.
Are they?
And
okay.
I can see that too.
Because there's already 2 tag matches on the card. You got the Vision versus the Usos, and then you got the mixed tag.
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm more referring to like for the tag titles because we see
you don't see that often.
No, we don't see tag titles put on or put up at PLEs enough, in my opinion. And there are some fantastic tag teams right now.
Oh, there really is.
So, but again, it we'll see here tonight. Where are they live from? Do you know? Did they say in the rundown?
Is it in tonight? I'm not sure what it is.
No, yeah. Wrestlepalooza's in Indiana tomorrow. So I assume it's probably actually in Indiana.
And I know they talked about a little bit last night that Charlotte wants to step away.
Oh, yeah, and have a family.
Again, she just got
divorced.
And it's not about coming back and wrestling. It's about just getting divorced.
And I was actually happy because it seems like she's finally
getting over with the crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, why you want to run away from that now? But hey,
she's not young enough. I think she's like 38, 39.
Legends are great in doses.
Yes.
I said it once on Tuesday. I'm going to continue to say it. I say the same thing about AJ Lee. It's great to see her back. I love Charlotte. It's great to see you back too. But anytime you guys want to, go do your thing and let these young kids come up and do their thing, because these young kids are fantastic.
Yes,
and I think we need to see more of them. Yep. So I'm happy Charlotte kind of wants to take a step away. One, I'm just not a huge fan of her father, but two,
me neither.
Charlotte herself is just, she's done her work. She's done her piece. I think that she's done enough to really say that she has a Hall of Fame career.
Well, I know tonight, aside from Cody, they've got Brock Lesnar, Tiffany Stratton, Randy Orton, Jade, Jacob Fatu should be returning tonight sometime in during SmackDown. And of course, they're announcing, though, there's going to be some big, secrets, secret guys jumping in tonight or tomorrow at Wrestlepalooza. Who knows who that will be? I would expect, it's going to be the first ESPN PLE. So I'm sure it'll be more. I'm feeling it's going to be more like the beginning of, or the return of Saturday night's main event, where it's going to be a lot of, famous celebrities sitting in. But I mean, 4 matches right now. Usually we've talked about it's usually 5.
It's usually 5.
But a lot of these matches have a lot of story and cinema to them, I guess. So maybe you need more
time.
Yeah. Maybe they add one during the event
that drags on. That hasn't happened in quite some time, but they could do that. They have done that in the past. So maybe, or at least Vince McMahon did.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think they add one tonight. Some kind of interference that causes some kind of mashup. And they're like, hey, we'll just throw these guys on the card. And
maybe we get a 3-way. Maybe it's Sammy, Miz, and Carmelo.
Oh,
or maybe there's a reason Jacob Fatu shows up tonight. But we'll take a break and we'll run down these matches, and you can tell us what is going on at Dionysus this weekend right here on ESPN Bakersfield.
It's not realistic enough. We need a mug. We need to throw a mug against the wall like KO did.
Well, before we run down this fight card, so Wrestlepalooza and the AEW event you can catch at Dionysus.
Yep.
Is there any food specials?
Yeah, so we'll have smash burgers from Smash and Grab and Hopeton's Jamaican.
Oh yeah,
they should be there. They make
Those are the wings you had the one time, right?
yeah, they're bomb.
Yeah, they're good.
Yes.
So yeah, the weather would be good. So
Yes.
it'll be a beautiful weekend.
I'm gonna have to stop by and have a couple drinks before I have to go on stage with Sugar Ray.
Oh, yeah.
Drive responsibly.
I will not be driving.
Attaboy.
Smart man.
I will not
Attaboy.
be driving. But running down this fight card, we'll start with, I believe, the opening match, which is
I hear it's John and Brock.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I understand is the show will be starting with John Cena against Brock Lesnar.
So we do have 5 matches.
We do?
Yeah, because Cody and Drew,
Right.
Io and Stephanie. Or no, that's the one that. No, that's tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Io,
Yeah,
CM
Io
Punk.
and
Steve and Seth,
Usos,
the Usos and Braun.
and then
Oh yeah, there is 5. I continuously forget that the Io and Stephanie match is a part of this actually,
I keep
and it was
thinking
the
it's
first
getting pushed
one.
back.
yeah.
It was it's because they've had so many instances where they've had to send Stephanie back to Orlando to be part of NXT Homecoming, so she couldn't be there to sign the contract on
Yeah.
Monday, and then Io had to get her whole thing going with Asuka, and I was
I
like,
love that. And
this is why
before I go with this,
Oh yeah,
Hey,
my
I'm telling you,
that's
it,
good.
it finally showed up.
Nice.
they even put hair in there. That's a little bit of her own hair.
Yes, yes. And we'll auction off at Dionysus this weekend.
Uh,
But no, the first match with Cena. What do you guys think?
Cena's really good at losing as a babyface.
he really is.
So I just think he loses, but for what reason? I don't know why he would lose against Lesnar, but
at this point in his career,
but I could see him losing. He's kind of on that farewell, like, hey, I'm gonna help whoever I can,
right? And well, I mean, again, I've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. I wanted this to be the final one.
Yeah.
I wanted Brock to be the one to retire the GOAT, and then that to me brings Brock back to who Brock Lesnar used to be. But I don't see a reason for him to lose to Brock Lesnar on Saturday. I really don't. Like, I think this needs to be the one time John wins, because every other match they've had, Brock has ran through him.
Oh yeah.
Like, and that's by Vince McMahon design, to be honest with you.
2-4 against Brock Lesnar, or 2-3, something like that.
Something like that.
Record.
Yeah, he has a losing record against him. I feel like they could even it up right here. John gets the win, and both of them walk away still looking good.
Yeah.
Get him the win, and then he'll lose his. Who do you think his final match will be then?
I haven't figured that one out yet.
It's gonna be tough.
It's
man.
got to be somebody that he wants to pass the torch to be the next step in.
Yeah.
And I know everybody wants it to be Cody or Roman, but I think we've already had those.
Yeah.
I think this needs to be a young kid. I
And
said
I
it
thought
yesterday.
it could be Braun, but now Braun's kind of
He's
already
made his own way.
Yeah, he's doing good.
But then again, maybe we do let it be Braun Breaker and he becomes the second version of Brock Lesnar. And he becomes the guy now that runs roughshod through people and just breaks people.
and that'll be his way out with maybe the wise man
Maybe,
going
yeah,
with him.
maybe.
All right.
Outside looking in here, the Wyatts. John had a long rivalry
We
with
talked
Bray.
about that in the beginning.
And there's a rumor going around the internet right now that they could really use in a storyline, which is John never made it out of the funhouse.
He never did.
John never truly, in the story at least, made it out of Bray's head or Bray's funhouse. So realistically, at some point, he should run into Uncle Howdy and the rest of the Wyatts. So maybe that's one step.
I would like
here.
that.
I would love to
That'd
see
be
him
awesome.
go against
Cool.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Because I think Howdy is really the one, or Bo Dallas being the brother of Bray Wyatt, for those of you who don't know. I think he's really the one that's been left out along with Nikki Cross, but I think that's also by design. I don't think Nikki actually wants to wrestle right now. But like, if you gave Bo that little bit of a shoulder rub, that he's the one that kind of got John to retire, maybe he could get something going as this Uncle Howdy character.
Yeah, he needs it.
I
Getting
think so.
bigger in the up in the fight card.
Yeah.
Well, and then we have the tag match with the Usos versus the Vision.
This is a big one.
B&B security,
I think
the Men in Black.
The Usos are not good right now. Like
Right?
their relationship is not good. LA Knight's going to come in and ruin this for.
Do you think so?
For Jay?
For
Oh,
Jay?
100%, yeah.
Because that rivalry could be really fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. And so I feel like that storyline is already getting bigger than this actual storyline between the Vision and the Usos or whatever it might be. So,
of course, after he jumped into the match, after he said he wasn't going to, they're kind of setting it up, and that would be a hell of a match.
I agree.
It'd be really good. Yeah, I think the Vision take this match though overall.
I think so too. And you continue to build the two of them as just monsters.
Yeah.
Just big beef
Which
monsters.
They are.
Yeah.
They really are.
Honestly, hopefully it does not come at the cost of Jimmy Uso, but then again, with the baby on the way, it would kind of make sense that they
give him some time.
Well, I mean, especially after what they did to Roman.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Maybe Jay comes in, or I'm sorry, LA comes in, takes Jay away, and that causes Jimmy to have a serious injury this time, and Jay has to deal with that he walked away from family.
And give a reason to Roman to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the mixed tag team match, CM and AJ Lee against Seth and Becky. Obviously,
anybody see Seth and Becky?
I would love it,
this?
but I don't see it.
I don't see it.
I don't see it. It means AJ Lee's first match back. They have to give it to her, right?
I would assume, but at the same time, who knows? Maybe Triple H has a plan for us here, and maybe this stems over into War Games.
Well, good.
Like we've talked about, usually when they get punked on the weekly show, they usually flip it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of CM or AJ, so I'm gonna roll with the Rollins,
But like we say with football, the levy's got to break at some point, and CM Punk has been losing a lot.
Yeah, but the way they've kind of portrayed Seth and Becky during this feud is make them very small and overshadowed. So I could maybe see them winning to continue that storyline. But like you said, CM Punk's been getting screwed over left and right.
A lot.
Yeah,
so it's good. But no, I know. But like I always say, Becky is the best.
Yep.
And it's just not me saying it. There's other people saying it. Yep. Sports Illustrated says it
all the time.
Says it.
Forbes says it too.
Come on.
If AJ and CM Punk end up winning this, though, do you think it automatically puts both of them in contention for those titles around the other two's waists?
Yes, and I think that's maybe what they build up for. Is I don't know if CM Punk wins that title from Rollins, but I can see AJ Lee winning it from
100%
from Becky Lynch.
I think that really is the touch. I know Becky's had a great run with it as well, but I've been saying for a long time that these mid-card titles for the women need some sort of legends touch that's going to propel them over the top, and AJ taking the Intercontinental belt would do exactly that.
And then she could fight, Roxanne, go through all the list
Liv coming back. Maybe
I wish they would bring Cora back. I wish they would bring Cora back for this, but I know they won't.
They won't.
And then the Women's World Championship, Io and Stephanie Vicaire.
I mean, I love both.
I obviously am going to go with Io, but I know she's not going to take it.
She's not.
My heart says Steffi.
My thoughts are,
I think Io walks away.
I would love that.
I would love that too, but I think I don't like how they've presented this whole match, but I think it's time for Stephanie to get her chance at the title.
My question is for you guys is this probably going to set up the Io and Asuka?
Yes.
And how does Rhea and Stephanie Vicaire end with this?
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't think about that because they have been teasing the Asuka feud. So yeah, I mean, now that you've said that, I could see Io winning just so that storyline could develop further. Stephanie, to me, I don't think is quite ready to be the champion. Especially she hasn't really wrestled much. She's been on the NXT doing stuff down there, but on the main card, not too much. So I think you're right.
Somehow, some way, Rhea and Asuka probably get involved with this match, or
I see this going two ways. One, Asuka's going to come in, ruin it for Io, and Stephanie's going to win, and then they're going to put Stephanie on this entire tour in AAA and all of these other places too, because she would be huge in Mexico walking around with that belt around her waist. And then we're going to get a pretty solid run from her. Or two, Io wins, in which starts this rivalry with Asuka, because Asuka's going to get jealous. And then we might even see Rhea come in to be the tag partner for Io against the other two, causing the breakup of the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah.
And is there any chance we see Liv?
No.
I think it's coming sooner rather than later, though.
You think
she
so?
was she was right behind Triple H at the announcement ceremony for WrestleMania, which shows me you're at least around the company right now. You may not be fully healed, but
they fooled us with Seth Rollins and his knee.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a huge event for the WWE and ESPN. I mean, if it would happen, I could see it.
I could definitely see it happening at
even if it's
Wrestlepalooza.
something small. But
And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if she came in and just botched the match for whoever, either EO or Stephanie. I just don't know. I said it yesterday. Usually the WWE doesn't give the belt to these young stars right away. They have to at least get 1 or 2 title matches in first.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it with Breaker and with Uso. So, but I don't know. Stephanie has come in and was really, she was a different case though, because she was offered her main roster spot from the get-go. They thought she was ready already. So maybe they do think she's ready to be the champion.
Yeah. People do love her. She has a huge following. So
she does.
Yeah.
And then finally, Cody and Drew.
I think Drew could win this.
I think so too, but I don't know, man.
Cody needs time to go shoot Street Fighter. Drew McIntyre silently has been your best superstar online.
Just had a kid. I mean,
Cody just had another kid. You need some time off. And what better villain to take it off of him than Drew McIntyre?
I mean, as much as I agree that Drew deserves it, the buildup for this is just not there.
And taking Cody's title away on the biggest, ESPN show.
That would be a surprise, though.
Creates another story.
Yep.
It starts another story for Cody to get over, which at the end of the day, we've talked about that with Jay. What are these champions with the belt?
Well, I will say Drew deserves a title. I just don't know if it's this quick or this early.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm going to reserve my thoughts, but I think Drew McIntyre walks away.
All right.
I genuinely do.
Go out to Dionysus. Join us Saturday.
Absolutely. I'll be out there. But when do you guys open again for AEW?
12.
12 o'clock.
Yep.
So go out there at 12 o'clock. Go check out AEW All In. It's a lot of fun as well. I'm sure MJF is on the card at some point in time. He always is, as well as a fantastic main event. And then Wrestlepalooza right after that at Dionysus with pumpkin spice beer. So all of you white women out there, you have an excuse to come say hi. This has been the Early Bird Special. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.